Good morning. Good morning. This is Lisa Bien with Your Best Life coming from my dining room. I'm very excited about this. And we are week 7. We are heading into week 7 of the pandemic. And Roe Beau-Verzella, who is, you know what, Ro, I can't even be serious about this. Like, we're such good friends. Ro is one of my closest and dearest friends, and I talk to her almost every day, probably 2-3 times a day, like KYW News Radio. But the truth of the matter is that you are internationally renowned. Oh my God, a tattoo artist, permanent cosmetics. You do all kinds of microblading. You're a speaker. I mean, I don't know. I just think you're my Buddha. You're everything. So you're a pretty special woman. So we thought it would be fun today to have you to have a conversation about all the things that women want to talk about now. Week 7, right, Ro?
Week 7.
In the middle of the pandemic, right? And first of all, you always make sure I'm wearing the right color. Is this a good color for me?
It's one of my favorites.
Okay, good.
One of my absolute favorites.
You definitely know color. If there's one person I know that knows color, it's you. And you know makeup, and you know you have an incredibly huge heart. There's nobody really like you, Ro. Honestly, I've never met a more special human being quite like you. So thank you for taking the time to do this today. But let's jump into it, okay?
Right, let's do it.
Here's the first question. So yesterday I went walking. It was a beautiful day, and I went walking, and one of my friends said, you know, I'd love to color your hair. What would you say to the women that are home right now and they have lots of gray? I mean, I have gray. I'm just covering it. Would you tell women to start coloring their hair? What do you have for color?
Well, okay. I would say it's not a good idea to, you want to keep your social distancing, and unless she has 6-foot arms, that's not going to happen if she's coloring her hair. So one idea that I got from a prominent colorist in the area, who happens to be my daughter-in-law,
who we love. We all love Julie.
Julie Rienzi. And she's purchasing color, mixing it, and leaving it on the doorstep. And the client has instructions on how to put it on and how long to leave it.
That's
pretty smart. Get me through. And because she felt like she was just abandoning them. So that's really been working out great for her.
That's awesome. Do you use any particular product or to cover gray?
I can grab anything, honestly, because I have dark hair. So it's so easy. I can grab it at Whole Foods. I can grab it at CVS. Mine is easy. The thing that's tricky are the eyebrows. Because in between your touch-ups, your brows come in gray. So if you are dark like me, you're going to have a contrast. And in about 2 weeks, you have a zebra effect. So we're going to talk about how to color. Don't pull them out. Dear Lord, don't pull them out. If you pull them out, they're not coming back, guys. Some women, they don't come back when they're 16. So they're certainly not going to come out if you're more mature. I mean, they'll grow back. So
well, that happened to me, right? Like that's why that happened to me. You do my eyebrows, you permanent cosmetics, because I overplucked it. I still remember when the first time I saw you, you're like, honey, what did you do?
Poor baby. But no, it's one of those things that is so common. Women, I mean, I have women that tell me they over-tweezed at 16 and it didn't come back. And that breaks my heart. You know, that's a long time to draw eyebrows on. And then finally they get to a point where they kind of can't see, and they have glasses and it's harder to draw them on. So they wind up coming in for permanent. And I have women, especially older women, that don't quite understand the dynamics of the permanent makeup and a tattoo. And they'll say things like, well, now those gray ones aren't coming back, right? And I have to break their heart and tell them, listen, they're coming back with it. And we tell them to use just for men, beard and mustache. Take a bottle cap, a dot of each, no more than a pea size. Cut a Q-tip, stir it up, pat it on. By the time you make your bed, you're done. wipe it off. It doesn't stain the skin, it comes right off. It's like a miracle. Buy a shade the same or lighter because it's only a stain. It's kind of like the old Loving Care that women used years ago. In other words, it doesn't have lifting power like hair color that's lightening hair. So be careful not to get them too dark, but it's wicked, it works. And you could do it every 2 weeks.
I never knew that. So you even just taught me. Well, I don't need to do it because of my permanent cosmetics, which I love so much. And eyeliner. Let's not forget the permanent eyeliner that is amazing.
I know. It is. It's the best. Once you have it, you're like, what took me so long?
Isn't that the truth? I mean, really, I love it. I like when I go out to the gym where no makeup on my face except for my eyeliner, and people are like, "Is that a tattoo?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I just love it. But so we talked a little bit about hair color, right? You were a stylist before you went into permanent cosmetics, correct?
I was a cosmetologist for many years, and then I went into color and makeup, and then eventually like full makeovers, basically, and went into your closet and dressed you. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, so you pretty much do that for me every time I wear something. You're like, honey, don't wear that on TV ever again. Oh, honey, finally listen to me. So
you can't unsee color. You can't unsee it. You can't.
For people who want to see hair styles or cuts, what do you think? Because, some people, their hair is really, like my hair is just growing down. So I'm kind of lucky. But I mean, if we're in another month or two, it's not going to have any style. It's literally just going to be, my bounce is gone. You know what I mean? So should we be trimming our hair or should we leave it?
Well, here's the thing. There are some decent YouTubes, but one of the things I recommend is having a marker. If you're cutting your bangs, have a marker. Like your length hair, here. Okay? Shorter hair, you can go here. Short hair like mine, here. No shorter. Let me get it. Sorry.
That's okay.
So
I'll let you take a drink.
Thank you. Pardon me. I'm so sorry. I'm just getting over a cold. So basically, remember your guideline so that if you ever have to trim them again, you're not going to wind up with a broom up here. So be very cautious. Chin, bottom of the nose, or even the top of the lip. That'll give you movement in long hair. It'll move, but it won't give you a big jump, especially if your hair's curly. It'll jump up.
Right.
Be very careful of cutting them too short because they shrink up incredibly short when they're dry.
So we're in week 7. You are the expert of all things, beauty. I always say you're the expert of all things beauty with, the way you started your career. And now you have the Beau Institute that recently moved that's in South Jersey, Route 70, right? And you're closed right now. But when you reopen, you're going to be the place, as always, to go to get the eyebrows, the lips, the eyeliner. And you do a lot of good nonprofit work as well. What would you say? Yeah, you do a lot. You're like everyone in the community just loves you, and you do a lot to give back. There's a lot of women that are home right now, and some people are home by themselves. What advice could you give to women right now that they could do for their skin? Do you have a homemade remedy that we can offer women? Oh, my skin, I want to make it a little shiny, but I don't have any product at home. Is there something you can offer?
It's funny, I just did a blog on this because there's always things in the cabinet that you can use. And one of the things, believe it or not, is sugar. Sugar is a great exfoliant because it's a nice size granule. So if you mix sugar with, say, olive oil, you can mix it with any oil, really, and do it in a circular motion. Not real hard. Remember, it's pretty abrasive. You can actually do your face. You can do your legs and get off all that winter skin. If you don't have enough sugar, salt.
Oh, really? Salt
Salt
too?
is great. Salibration is wonderful, and it's an abrasive. So anything that is granular, if you can you can mix it with water, you can mix it with an oil. If you're dry, I would mix it with an oil, and then rinse it off, but don't soap it off. Let that oil just kind of stay on the skin and soak in, and
Mm,
your skin will feel like butter. It's amazing. It really does work. So just simple things that you'd have around the house that you don't have to worry about going out for. Just not too hard on the face because
right.
it's pretty, it's pretty strong. You can actually like create a burn, so you don't want to do that. But those things kind of give you a lift,
Right.
without feeling like you have to run to the first facial or esthetician that's opened up. So that's one of the things I highly recommend is taking care of your skin because we're in. So if you get a little pink, it's okay.
Hmm.
Where are you going? If you're not leaving, it's okay if you get a little pink. I just did one with, I did a retinol peel and I'm still peeling on one cheek, but it was like, no, it's okay. So, where am I going? I'm not worried about being a little pink or a little flaky. That means I'm getting new skin underneath. So don't go crazy, but yes, it works.
So now that there's all these women that are home, right, especially myself included, we have a lot of extra time that we wouldn't, normally have. So I've been cleaning out my makeup and I've been looking at my makeup.
Yeah.
But I guess I never really understood, like, what's the rule? Is there a rule of thumb? Like, I looked at makeup today and I said, well, that's really old. Like, I can't
Yeah.
even tell you when I bought it. Like, it's so old. So I threw it away. I figured if you
Yeah.
don't know when you bought it, maybe you should throw it away. Is there a rule of like, and is it?
Oh, your mascara has, believe it or not, it contains mercury to keep the bacterial count down. Otherwise, it would, you're putting it on your eye and then back into that tube in a dark tube.
Right.
If you're in a warm climate, that's going to breed. So there is a certain amount of mercury that they would add into the mascara to keep that bacterial count down, which sounds bizarre that we'd be putting mercury on. But the bottom line is 3 months. Think about this. You're putting it on
3 months
three
for
months.
all makeup or
Yeah,
just for mascara?
mascara,
Oh,
mascara.
okay. I was
You
like,
don't
wait, all
want to,
makeup?
no, you don't want to introduce, bacteria back on your eye. So three
Okay.
months is a really good rule of thumb. And, when you're buying, buy smart. You know, um, a lot of makeup artists, a lot, really. I mean, I was, doing makeup for years. L'Oreal, Voluminous, things like that aren't expensive and it's not breaking your heart to throw it away in 3 months. And it's probably just going to start to dry up a little bit. But there's drugstore brands that are good and they work. And I'm not I'm not a snob when it comes to makeup. I'm really not. And so I think it's kind of fun when I go in and, try like all the, NYX, that brand. Uh,
Hmm.
some of those things are awesome.
I still remember the first time you ever told me that. I said, what kind of mascara should I buy? And you were like, just use something cheap, like something inexpensive that you could just throw away if you don't like it. I was like, I totally thought you were going to be like all about the expensive brand.
Oh yeah. And believe me, I love big. I love big. Um, Lancome makes big. But I don't have to have big, I could just as soon pick up voluminous. And another thing for the brows, pick up a waterproof mascara. And if you start to get gray eyebrows,
Hmm.
and you really do need to color them, you can always put a little waterproof mascara on the grays. Like you could pick up a brown mascara and just cover your brows, gives them texture, gives them movement, and they'll stay in place. It's a nice look.
That's awesome. So mascara we should throw away every three
Yeah.
months.
And
And
your shadows, I'm going to say a year. A year
okay,
is it. Yeah.
10 years is not good.
Yeah. And I've had it like break my heart, like where I know they don't make that color anymore, and I loved it. And I do toss makeup. That's what I'm known for saving other things, but not makeup. I ditch it.
Interesting.
And it gets a smell. Did you ever smell old makeup?
No.
It smells. Maybe I'm sensitive to it, but I can literally smell it. Lipstick. Oh, it's appalling. Old lipstick, it gets a really funky smell. And if it was a perfume like a Lancome or
Mhm.
a Estee Lauder lipstick, that's even worse. In a
Wow.
year, you gotta throw that out.
That's good to know. I never knew that. I'm going to start smelling my lipstick. But then again,
Yeah.
if I like 2 colors, I get your approval. Once you approve, I stick to those colors and that's it. I mean, and that's a good point. Ro, I've been lucky because I have you, right? And I can call you and say, Ro, does this color look good? Does that color look good? It is so important you always say, if you're cool, if you're this, how do you learn? How can we learn what works? And I know you're going to say a lot of it's trial and error, but
Not really. I mean, what's so interesting when I'm doing, because I still do colors, and I still like to show women, especially if they come in and they ask for the wrong color lips, or they use a really strange color eyebrow that's not in harmony with their skin and their natural palette, it's going to walk in the room first. It's like, I could put orange lips on you and you will light up a room. You put orange lips on me, I will look like a clown, because it's a dissonant color. It's not part of my natural harmony. It's just going to jump out and walk in first. So I'll say to women, do you wear brown? And if they say, oh, I love brown. Yeah. Cool people don't wear brown. They'll wear it on a rainy day, or they say, well, I have, sometimes. Now, if I hear sometimes, I'm not sure. Do you wear white, blue, white? And they may say, no, because, it just washes me out. They're warm. White is cool. So I can ask them specific questions regarding specific colors. So I may say, so now we have black and brown, white and ivory, right? Black is cool, white is cool, ivory and brown are warm. And I'll say, do you wear pink? And if they say, there are women that hate pink. And they may say, I hate pink. And I'll say, do you wear orange? No, I hate orange. Well, now I'm dumber because now I don't have pink or orange, right?
You're like, I don't know what.
I have to dig a little bit.
I got nothing for you.
Yeah. And then I'll go, do you wear olive green? Now, when you're cool, olive green, nobody would question me if I said I was ill. And you're going to look fabulous. And I'm like, I wish I could wear that. And I can't pull that off at all. So I'll ask them if they wear olive green, certain colors that are really specifically there. We call them determinant colors. They literally determine if you're warm or cool. And usually people know, and they'll either shy away from that or they have a lot of it. And I'm not saying they always have it right. Sometimes they'll say, oh, I love pink. And they'll want pink lips, and they have pink all over them. And they really belong in more of an apricot, they're better off in oranges than they are pink. But the point is, I can get a lot of information by just asking them some determinant colors. And then if I introduce them to a new color lip that they've never worn, it doesn't sound so off the wall, or I'm trying to be a know-it-all. I'm trying to come from, I want something that's going to light you up, that's not going to walk in the room first. It's going to be part of your natural palette. So
if somebody wants to ask you why we're home, right? Because, it seems to me that we're going to be in the house a couple, we're going to be in quarantine at least another month probably, if I were to guess. So if somebody wanted to contact you, what would be the best way that they could reach out to you and maybe ask you a question, and get some of your advice or learn more about permanent cosmetics potentially? I'm sure there's women in home right now that are going to watch this and say, oh my God, I would love to have my eyebrows done or my eyeliner. So how can they find you?
Probably the best way is to just write to info@Beau Institute, and it's BEAU.
Okay.
BeauInstitute.com, and it will.
And you'll answer those questions.
Sure. It'll go into our mailbox, and I can see it and answer you right from there. We were going to talk about tweezing. That's the
tweezing. Right. We gotta wrap it up with tweezing. Go ahead.
Okay. We don't want these women getting in trouble. Okay. Short bangs will grow. Okay.
Right.
Tweezing, that could be a problem. All right. So if you need a waxing and you see you've got all this wild brush growing in and you don't even know where to begin, where to tweeze and where not to, the best thing you can do is take a pencil, any color pencil, and draw it around the brow shape that you like, your brow shape. Anything outside of that pencil, go ahead and tweeze, because you've preserved your brow, you've preserved the shape of it. So I would say that's probably the easiest way. People are asking, they're writing to me and asking me, what should I buy a waxing kit? My answer to that is no, not a good idea. Only because you can get burned. You can't really, it's very difficult to stretch and see all of that when you don't know, do it for a living. Waxing is an art, truly an art. And I wouldn't mess with it myself, even after all these years in the business. I don't own one.
I don't know. I love having my permanent cosmetics. I love my permanent brows. I love my eyeliner. So I'm going to wrap it up because I promised you we'd only do a half hour. And I think that that's the most that people will want to watch us anyway. But we've covered a lot. We've given them tips about hair, brows, skin. One question before we go. What would you say the silver lining is for you with this pandemic? There's a lot of people that are home, and it's a scary time in our world right now, our universe, but I'm asking folks to tell me and share, what is their silver lining?
It's interesting because I'm an artist, and when you deal with artists, you're an artist, you're a writer. And when you deal with artists, not only can they bore easily, but we're very connected socially. And when you deprive certain personalities of that, they can get really depressed. They can really get in where they're seeing that cup half empty.
Right.
Like, oh, this is never going to end, and especially if they're isolated. So I'm getting a lot of emails from fellow permanent makeup people, and they can call me. I give them my number. They can call me. I'll talk to them. Because I understand how they think and how they operate, what gets in there. So here's my way of finding that silver lining. You'll probably never get this time again. And you have a choice. Is that cup half empty or half full? If you see it as half empty, you will never benefit. You're going to look back and say, oh my gosh, I could have done, like, my question is, what have you been dying to do? If you had a month off, that's like insane, having a month off. Who has a month off? If you had a month off, what would you do? If you had 2 weeks off, what would you do? So what I find with a lot of people, the complaint is really kind of universal and interesting. They're not motivated. They lack that motivation. And that's because we're denied so much of the interaction of other people, our fellow workers, our neighbors, our friends. We're denied all that. So we have to dig deep really deep
I agree.
inside, and you have to pull up that creativity or things that you have always wanted to do and fantasize. If I had 2 weeks off, I would do this. So you are going to have to make that choice. It's a choice, and that's the
I can't
hard.
say it enough. I agree with you 100%. And there's a book called The Choice, and I can't think of the name of the author, but it's by a woman who survived the Holocaust, and she went on and she talks about the choice row, and I couldn't agree more. It's all about the choice when and I said, I wish some morning, every day, every night before I go to sleep, I say to my fiance, I'm going to sleep in tomorrow. And he goes, it's never going to happen. Like, sleeping in for me is 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, because I want to do this. This is my choice. But
Yeah.
thank you for taking time from
You are so welcome. It was fun, honey. I love you.
Fun. I love you, and I will share all this great advice with our friends on Facebook and goinstitute.com if people want to find out more. And have a great Sunday, my love. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye, honey.